Hello, I'm Pam Hoffman, Everyday Spacer.
I'm Jeff Miller, 2049 Outfitters.
At Everyday Spacer, we show regular folks how to personally and directly participate in space exploration, science, and astronomy. We're here on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Pacific Time, 12 midnight Eastern Time, and 2 p.m. on Saturday in Queensland, Australia. We're broadcasting live from Thousand Oaks, California. Really quick. Whoops, let's hit the right button. Over 80% of our viewers have not subscribed. If you watch 2 or more of these episodes, please consider subscribing. We're actually kind of celebrating an anniversary. We've been offering live shows for almost 4 years. Thank you so much for watching. I think it's going to be the 20th or so, somewhere in there, mid to late September of 2020. I kicked this off, and then Jeff joined in and seemed to be popular. So I invited him back.
I guess I brought enough chaos to the show.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
You had a couple of
Yes. Some cybersecurity. Well, one's cybersecurity. The other one's not quite cybersecurity news. If you could share the screen, please.
Yeah.
Here's one older. Here, let me go. Older Android-based TV boxes. So older smart TVs, and here are the actual models that are affected. They can be.
I tried them off.
Okay. Well, it's KJ-Smart 4K VIP, and there's a bunch of other letters and stuff. R4 and TV box. Basically, if you have one of these, you're very vulnerable to being hacked. And there's nothing they can do to fix it.
Oh.
Because it's kind of baked into it. If there's a fix for it, they haven't shown it yet. Now, they do not seem to be hitting English-speaking countries.
Interesting.
Brazil seems to be getting hit the hardest, which Brazil is one of the lesser-known sources and a big target of a lot of malware, but not as big as, U.S. is the biggest target by far because so many countries are aiming for it, but Russia, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, so chances are real good that if you're in a English speaking country, they're probably not hit because they're probably not sold here. Those TVs might not be sold here.
Or they're already cycled through.
Yeah. So look at these TVs. And if you have one, try not to connect it to the internet or get a hardware firewall to keep it from, basically, because these are vulnerable. They can get into it and basically get into a debugging mode that lets them load whatever they want on it.
Janie Becker has arrived and says, "Happy Friday, Spacers." Yes, happy Friday to you, Janie Becker.
And we don't have to share that anymore. Okay, the other thing that I want to talk about, not quite cybersecurity, but in the computer field, and it's just because I got reminded about it today. Windows S mode.
There's very lots in that sigh.
Yeah. Hi, Scott.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Dawn.
There. You gonna show?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello. Welcome back.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Okay. So, for one thing, what is Windows S mode, and why is it an abomination? It's called Windows Secure Mode.
I have heard of that.
I think of it more as Windows Screw You mode, because it prevents. They call it secure because it prevents you from installing anything except from the Microsoft Store.
Okay.
And it also prevents you from making some administrative changes to the computer. So it's essentially Microsoft's answer to the Chromebook on a much more expensive computer than a Chromebook.
Oh.
And basically, it came up because a customer called in because they were trying to log me in onto their computer. not even as the host, but as the client, which just needs a little bit, just needs a little reader like the Zoom reader, that you download to view a Zoom call. So it's not like you're trying to do anything intensive, but it won't let them unless you exit S mode. And all of the instructions just say exit S mode. Here's how you exit S mode. It's the only way to exit S mode. Go to the Microsoft store and buy Windows Pro. That's it. That's how you exit S mode.
What a racket.
Yeah. So they sell these cheap computers, and I mean, I don't like Windows Home versions. They're kind of limited, but not crippled. But this is, if they advertise Windows S mode, or you see Windows S mode on there anywhere, don't get that one. If you bought a computer very recently and you notice that it's S mode, go return it to them and basically hit them over the head with it or whatever. I was going to be a lot less polite with what I said to do with that computer when you get there. And it involved breaking their teeth from the other side.
Yikes.
Locked windows at home are more secure than Microsoft Windows. Yes.
Huh.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, Windows S mode just basically turns it into an expensive Chromebook. So
Great.
Just don't do it. As someone in the business, just don't get that. There's 90% of the computers out there don't sell with it, so you've got plenty of choices. But if you can, go for Windows Pro. It just gives you more control over your own computer.
Yeah. I usually get that because I don't know about anybody out there, but I'm very heavily use computer.
Okay, so back to the real show. And it's how to make batteries. We'll be back in 8.3 seconds. Okay, it's not just about lemons or potatoes with nails in them. You can make a battery out of mainly water. Who knew? Pam, tell us more about batteries.
Well, I am fascinated by batteries. I have been for a very long time, and I was actually really surprised to see that this one involves so much water. But let's start with some basics. Let me go ahead and get over there if you don't mind. Go ahead and share the screen, Jeff.
Okay.
There we go.
There we go.
This was a really neat site, and there's all kinds of stuff to it, and it keeps changing. So there's about 3 or 4 different views of what the site is. But if you want to play around with it, sitetoys.com might be a good place to start. And this is chapter 3, electrochemistry. I was a little bit startled about the plastic hydrogen bomb, but that'll be another episode, maybe. There are some neat things in here, though. But what I really loved about this was kind of the beginning of this. It really spelled out what is a battery. Homemade batteries are a popular subject, and that making electricity from things you find around the house is a fun project. There are lots of easy ways to make homemade batteries. Basically, any 2 different kinds of metal can be placed in a conducting solution, and you get a battery. Familiar homemade batteries include sticking copper and zinc strips into a lemon or a potato to make a battery. And this particular article is very extensive, but they start off with a soda can and the soda from the can with a little bit of copper. They put the 2 strips of metal in. You don't want them to touch in the solution, but you can in fact generate a voltage, and that's what they show here, a 0.783 in this particular case. They talk about making the aluminum strip with the can. You're going to want to sandpaper off the paint that comes on the can.
Also, there's a plastic coating on the inside that you need to sandpaper.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. And I didn't really know that you could use soda. So that was interesting. Copper flashing you can get from a hardware store. They say, 3/4 of a volt. Now, there are different things to do to change the battery composition, the voltages, all kinds of things. And I won't go into huge detail on some of this, but I do want to talk about some because you can like gang them up. They talk about putting them in series, which means you'll add to the voltage. You know, if you have a 0.75 and another 0.75 together, they are 1.5. So yeah, you could use zinc instead of the aluminum. It does give you a little more than a volt for the battery. Yeah, they show this one here. So this must be a zinc instead of an aluminum piece of metal. Keep hearing about this air battery. However, I don't think it's air. Because I think this is one of them. Another easy, yeah, look at this. Another easy battery to make at home is the zinc air battery. In this battery, the strip of zinc is oxidized by dissolving oxygen. I guess that's what they mean, that they dissolve the oxygen in salt water. So you use a tablespoon of salt in a cup of water, and yeah, they're more correctly called cells. So let's say you had 2 of those, that'd be 2 cells. And you see that a lot of times on a commercial battery, how many cells are involved, and that's why.
And we talk about D cells or C cells or AAA cells.
Yeah.
I guess us older folk call them that.
Yeah. Well, even inside of those, they would have several of them. It just means that you can put that format into particular, like a light bulb, not a light bulb, torch in England. What are they called?
A flashlight.
Flashlight. There we go. Thank you. And a battery actually does have a meaning of more than one as well. So,
well, that's the original meaning of the word battery.
Right, and I think that's in here somewhere. They say the zinc air cell battery produces about 3/4 of a volt. To get higher, which you'll need to run things like light bulbs, LEDs, because actually you need it to overcome their internal resistance. You'll need 2, like this.
So that's a 2-cell battery. That is actually a battery because it's got multiple cells.
Right. So this little tiny thing here, that's your LED, and that's what it's lighting.
Really
with these.
dim.
Yeah. So if you added more, it would change the brightness of the whatever in this case it's a bulb, or if it's a fan, it would go faster or slower depending on what you have. So yeah, you can actually make these, like say you needed something really quick, or really in an emergency situation. There are definitely ways to get yourself some power with just a few simple things from home. You'll need some wires to help you connect things. Like see how they have these, they call them alligator clips. They clip onto the metal and onto the LED to help the power move around. Oh, they even show 1.5. So you've overcome the internal resistance of this LED light so that it will light. Go ahead, Cliff.
I made it no internet connection, and the missus has the same problem. Yeah.
So, are you using an air battery? That's mysterious. How you got here, I do not know.
Probably cell connection.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. Welcome, Cliff. We're glad you're here. Yeah, here it is. 2 zinc air cells in series produce about 1.5 volts. Yeah, that air, I wish they would talk about something besides air, because it makes you think you can use air to make a battery.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's a bunch of them that say that, and just understand it's not in fact air. It means that the oxygen is being produced because it's being oxidized. All right.
Oh, I just had a thought for Janie's previous comment.
Yes.
So let me bring it back here. Janie said that the locked windows at home are more secure than Microsoft Windows. See this thumb drive? That in about 5 minutes gets me into any Windows computer.
Oh boy.
Just so you know. So there you go.
All right, and another thing about, like in this case, an LED, if you used like a regular bulb, the power could go either way. But in an LED, it is one direction. So if, in fact, you do not see the light, switch the leads because the power is not going in the right direction. That would be like the first step to checking, and it's called troubleshooting, to checking if, in fact, you have this set up correctly and properly. All right. So they definitely have some other fun ideas here. Using hydrogen peroxide, add that to the salt water, and that's also something you might have at home. You could have bleach. The hydrogen peroxide is safer though, and it doesn't smell. Yeah. And that'll just change the equations.
But it won't give you whiter teeth if you gargle it.
Okay. Do we need an advisory for you? Jeff is a master of tools. Okay. And they go on to say if you don't have the zinc, you can make an aluminum air battery, as shown in the photo. Oh, the photo above, they say. All right. And that's about 1/2 volt. So pretty good. You would need 3 cells in a series to light that LED. Again, here's that teeny little LED, and it would be brighter. Yeah, they don't show it in this picture. It'd be brighter if you had 3 sets of these with all those different connections.
Yeah, because you can just barely see the color of the LED there.
Yeah, it's lit, but it's hard to see. And that's 1.5. All right, so then they talk about copper, zinc, and vinegar. Also, vinegar is something you might have at home. Oh, we got to, yeah.
Finally celebrate first day school holidays, and there's a big country show in town.
Oh, 286, yeah.
Yep.
Nice. All right, so and just all these different changes will affect how it works, how fast things might go. You might use it up faster, that kind of thing. It might create more voltage or less. So I would say there's some ways to play around, experiment with this. What's going to work best in the case of what you need. And I think like something like a bulb would be different than an LED. LED takes much less power.
Mm-hmm.
A light bulb itself, you're going to want more of these cells in your battery. All right. Yeah, they talk about, you can see this, and it's kind of right here on this one and over here. It's this black, it's oxidizing. It's actually oxidizing. And at some point, it will no longer be able to do that, and then your battery stops working.
Yep.
And I guess in the case of rechargeable batteries, they would like reverse this process of, and we got some pictures of how this works. And they say electrons. When I was in school, we weren't sure if it was electrons or what they called holes that were moving around. So maybe that's changed because, of course, we've got electron microscopes. We might be able to actually see electrons moving.
It has changed. You can't really see them through an electron microscope, but we can measure them much better now. And it's more the flow. And it's essentially the flow of electricity is kind of like water running a water mill.
Yes.
Or, a water wheel. So it's the flow that does it, not the electrons.
Yes. Go ahead with Janie's comment. She says cool.
Yeah.
Right. So even though this battery has been lighting the LED all night, it still has a lot of zinc left to keep it lit for several days. So this could be actually pretty useful to you, especially if you wanted to power something else. Like in this case, what does it say? It's a small clock calendar calculator with a 3-volt, well, they say lithium battery, but
looks like an old flip phone.
It does, doesn't it?
It's a calculator.
Yeah. Oh, and you can replace the 3-volt lithium battery in this small clock. It's been running for days and can probably last months because of this 2.8 volts and these 3. It looks like soda. Looks like they have soda in this one. And you do want to get these connections right. And it goes from one to the other. There's series and parallel, but we're talking about series tonight. Oh, and one thing else I should mention is that, when you run your house lights, it's basically plugged into the wall, which is something called AC or alternating current. When you make your batteries out of these components with 2 different kinds of metal and like the solution of soda or salt in the middle, that is going to be direct current or DC. DC correct, direct current. How does it do that? Metal atoms are held together by electrical attractions between the nuclei and the electrons around the atoms. When you place a strip of metal in a glass of water, and the water molecules interact with the metal atoms on the surface of the strip, water molecules are polar, meaning one side is slightly positive and the other side is slightly negative. This is because the 2 hydrogen atoms are not on opposite sides of the oxygen atom, but are instead about 105 degrees apart. Yeah, we're getting into a whole different discussion there.
You know that they often show the water molecule like in a triangle shape. That's actually because that's the way it actually is.
Okay, the 105 degrees?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the side with the oxygen atom is, I think, slightly positive charge, and the side with the 2 hydrogens is slightly negative charge. I think.
Well, it says it here. I think it has...
No, it doesn't say which one is which.
I thought it did. Yeah, the oxygen side is negative.
Oh, okay.
Hydrogen side is positive. Anyway, the whole concept is that things can move because of these relationships between these atoms.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like this part too. At the interface between the water and the metal, some of the metal nuclei are attracted to the negative side of the water molecules. This attraction makes it easier for a metal nucleus to leave one or more of its electrons behind in the metal strip and migrate away from the strip into the water. Especially when you add these wires that go to like your LED, the thing you're powering. That makes this flow. It makes this flow start happening.
Otherwise, some of the electrons would move into the metal, but then enough of a negative charge would build up in it that it prevents more from going there. So if you have a wire on it,
right?
Yeah. If you have a wire there to basically siphon off the extra electrons.
That's a good way to put that. Yeah. Okay, so let's see what else is important on this page. It's really good, though. I would definitely check this out, side-toys.com. Let me just add it to the... We really like giving you these options. And when I put it in here, it makes it a clickable link. Mm-hmm. All right. I think the important part here is that you can use different things. Copper, zinc, and acid can be used. It all has to do with this, what moves, which things move. Mm-hmm. Like the battery with the Coca-Cola in it. It has phosphoric acid. Vinegar has acid. You can actually do this with like a salt. That's more of a base. Mm-hmm. And bases are slippery. Mm-hmm. Like salt water would be a little bit slippery. Yeah. And either one of them can burn. Acids can burn. A strong base can burn.
Yep.
I didn't know we were going to talk about chemistry in this.
Well, that's what most batteries are.
Yes, there's a lot of chemistry going on here. Yeah, copper, zinc, and salt. This is, like I said, a salt instead of an acid. It breaks up in the water to make positive sodium ions and negative chloride ions. They reduce the energy needed for water to split into hydroxide ions and hydrogen ions. So that's the plus and minus business. So the electrons can start moving around. Mm-hmm. All right, what else is in here? And there's some math. I will not go into that. Copper, aluminum, salt, more math on how that works, the chemistry of those, what's happening there. All righty. And there's some fun stuff about what is a battery, an introduction. Batteries are a collection of one or more cells whose chemical reactions create a flow of electrons. I do like that part too. Create this flow of electrons. That's the important part, that they're flowing.
Yeah.
And they actually go into the details here. An anode and a cathode are what you call those two different metals. And it depends on what they are. Let's see what we have here. Some kind of electrolyte. So we got the anode, cathode, and something in between, which is that acid or base. And it will allow the electrons to move. Nice video here. When the anode and cathode of a battery are connected to a circuit, a chemical reaction takes place between the anode and the electrolyte. This reaction causes electrons to flow through the circuit and back into the cathode, where another chemical reaction takes place when the material in the cathode or anode is consumed or no longer able to be used in the reaction. The battery is unable to produce electricity. At that point, your battery is dead. I think this is the one where they go into a bunch of stuff, but the article itself is basically the video and much, much more. Talking about lithium batteries. Yep, they talk about different kinds of batteries. But mostly what I wanted to focus on for you today was making a battery of your own. And really, there's all kinds of different ways. I've actually seen things that people made that were a little bit in this format, but we'll see. We'll see. They're kind of interesting. I'm not going to play the videos because it's kind of long, but I will show you them, and I have a little bit of comment on some of them. How batteries are invented, what parts make it up, how it works, common terms. This is really terrific. All these are links that you can go to learn more about the different, what is it, voltage, current, resistance, and Ohm's law. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, what is equal to IR? It's a fun way to remember it. What is a circuit? Series and parallel, electric power. Did we get a, I think.
No, Cliff, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm an auto electrician.
Yep.
You can do lots with batteries and many different types of batteries. Yep.
What I want to know is, have you made batteries with some household components?
Yeah.
Like we're talking about today.
Oh, and just so you know, scroll back up to the lithium cylindrical battery.
This one?
Yes. All that is one of those flat batteries rolled up.
Yeah.
So
like a jelly roll for those of you out there who like baking.
Yeah.
So there's some history where it came from. Yeah, here it is. A series of similar objects grouped together to perform a function, as in a battery of artillery. And in fact, this is Benjamin Franklin's version of this. I think it isn't actually. Yeah, here's Leyden jar capacitors linked together. But as you probably heard about Benjamin Franklin, he would do different things and experiments for electricity, and in this case, batteries, that kind of thing. So
yeah, he, U.S. Oh, hang on.
it's
Yeah,
5.
Yeah.
Cool.
The United States myth is that Franklin invented electricity. No. He showed that lightning was electricity. I mean, we kind of thought it, kind of knew it, but he showed it.
Got it.
That's what, and I guess for the common man, because before there were light bulbs everywhere, lightning was the only electricity that most people had ever seen.
Oh,
so, yeah. So the fact that he said that lightning was electricity meant that for most people, he kind of invented electricity, but he didn't.
Right. So, they talk about, and this is possibly one of the first times. I think they have some other evidence of batteries before this, like in ancient Egypt and stuff.
A lot of ancient cultures had what we believe to be batteries. And
they would have been just like making them at home, not these fancy rolled up lithium, all kinds of different batteries, but just something like you might make at home with salt water and a couple of different metals, that kind of thing.
And possibly just as fire starters.
Oh, okay.
Because you make a spark and it lights something, because they
Very practical.
They didn't show anything that used electricity. So either it was a fire starter or maybe just religious, I can make lightning type of thing. So we don't know what it was actually used for, but they did have some, and it, might have just been, a carnival sideshow thing. But but they did have some very early on, like in the Babylonian era. So
oh right, yeah, that was it, Babylonian.
Yeah.
I think I have a tab up here about that somewhere. Oh. So they do talk about some interesting folks, and this is where we get like the term volt from. This Alessandro Volta. He was, this involves a frog's leg and how it would jump. At first they were thinking it was one thing, but actually they think it's probably because of this electricity going through it.
Well, and it was because they used two different metals.
Yes.
And Galvani, that name shows up a little bit in electrical stuff, galvanized pipe, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But Volta is directly into it because the volt. Yeah.
Right. And we have a nice picture of.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's why, positive, we thought that was the direction that the electrons were going, because we didn't know that electrons were negatively charged. That's only because the guy who found electrons assigned them a negative charge. If we said that electrons were positive and protons were negative, then electricity would actually make sense. But no, two different groups.
Got it. One thing it took me a while to notice is that as you move, and I think you can probably click on things to get to them, you have this nice little tracking thing over here. So they talk about 1780, an Italian physicist, biologist, and philosopher, physician. He was dissecting a frog attached to a brass hook. As he touched it with an iron scalpel, the leg twitched. So that's because inside of a frog, of course, is going to be enough salt water, which basically all living things have a certain amount of that. And this is what made that movement, that flow of electrons.
Right. And it's the same reason why if you get a jolt of electricity, your muscles twitch, because it basically triggers your muscles, because they get the electrical charge and it causes the muscles to contract.
And now that you mention it, in fact, when I was in school and getting trained for electronics, they said to approach it with the back of your hand, so that if your muscles contracted, they would pull you away from, instead of grabbing it like this.
Well, you must have been DC. Must have been handling DC current.
It was just a general rule about handling things.
Yeah, because AC kind of tends to make you contract and
still,
contract and not
if
contract.
you handle it with the if you approach it with the back of your hand's going to come this way no matter what. It's not going to contract that way and keep you on, say, an electric fence.
Right. Yeah. But I know from empirical evidence that if you do not turn off the circuit breaker and you're replacing the light switch and you hold it wrong, it feels like the light switch is vibrating, because your muscles are shaky, like they're twitching so much that it feels like the switch is vibrating.
Far out. Okay. Yeah. So we get back on track.
Sure.
So Volta decided that this wasn't, in fact, this energy coming from the leg, but it was caused by the different metals soaked in a liquid. And he actually built this, and I'll show you. It's a voltaic pile, they call it.
Before you get to that, the news of Galvani's experiment is one of the inspirations for Frankenstein.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they thought that electricity, that there was power in the thing. Volta said that, no, you're adding power to it. And so they thought, well, if you add electricity to dead tissue, you might revive it, because it adds life to it, because, they didn't think it was just a reflex action.
Okay. So Volta hypothesized this was something else, and in fact built this pile, the voltaic pile. And you can see there are different components. Well, let me just look at it here, because cloth soaked in brine, and two different metals. Which resulted in a similar voltage. He published his findings in 1791, and later created the first battery, the voltaic pile, in 1800. And here's an image of it.
And if you notice, they're all set in series. Yes. You've got multiple layers.
Yeah, they're stacked on top of each other.
So they're adding voltage. Yeah, they're adding up their voltage.
Right. Zinc and copper plates separated by cloth soaked in brine. So apparently there were some issues. Of course, we've overcome all this. We have nice little batteries. We got little button batteries, all kinds of different things. I see. And I guess they were leading to this. The electrolyte leaks out of the cloth. And when I've seen some of these videos, and when they say you don't want it to be soaking, just damp. So they'll actually take it and they'll put it on some towel and kind of pull out some of that dampness.
Right. And of course, the pressure will push the liquid out of the lower pieces of cloth. Mm-hmm. So, and of course, once you've got the bottom ones dry, nothing's going through the whole stack.
Oh, yeah. This could have been very heavy, because there wasn't the manufacturing and all sorts of possible tools that you could change things in our day and age.
That was probably 1/8-inch thick pieces.
Got it. So one of the things that this guy, William Cruikshank, did was put it on its side. So it's the same kind of thing with all these different layers, but instead of stacking them, he has put them in this trough battery format. All right, so let's get to some of the fun stuff. I like these pictures It's like, wow, that's really one of the first batteries, first rechargeable battery they talk about. And we all know about our car batteries.
Lead acid, yep.
Yep, and so there's like a dry cell and a wet cell in this case. I think the car battery is the wet one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's loaded with the water.
Yep.
Yeah, we got a comment.
24 volts will give you a tingling if you touch the right part of your arm.
Oh, yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. So yeah, just a bunch of different particulars about the things that have happened over time. I think I'm gonna. Yeah, there's a lot to this, so I'm gonna go back to this is Spark.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, you haven't shared this one yet.
Not this one, but I can.
Yeah, share this one so that other people can see it.
I will do that. Where am I? Let's see. Over here. And again, this will be a clickable link because I just lifted that right out of the website. So yeah, if you want to know about the history and like nickel metal hydride, one of my favorites, yeah, definitely check out this article. Oh, okay, this will be useful. It's got a lot of really good pictures, and this is one of them where they talk about this cathode, the electrolyte, and the anode. You want to make sure the anode and the cathode are not touching, and they usually have some kind of casing, and we've seen that. We've all handled little batteries,
and
little AA's and AAA's and stuff.
And that's what kills the lithium batteries, the rechargeable lithium batteries, is that they develop filaments toward each other. Oh. And as soon as the filaments touch,
that's it.
That's it.
Got it. Cathodes are positive, and I remember by thinking, oh, cats, that's positive. Whoops, yeah. Sorry.
You didn't have a cat then, did you?
Well, and then they got this lion here. Lion, cat, positive. Yeah. They got a connection in my brain.
Yeah, he said the tingling. Oh, so 24-volt truck battery will like make your arm tingle. Yeah. So it's a public service announcement there. Empirical evidence, yes.
Thank you for that public service announcement. The electrolyte, oh, and it can be a gel. This is a liquid or gel capable of transporting the ions between. Mm-hmm. So let's see. Are there any other really cool things in here? Oh, these ones are leaking, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they can leak their electrolyte, potassium hydroxide, subjected to high heat or reverse voltage. I find that happens when they just sit around. Mm-hmm. Separator. Yep, they talk about these different layers. Let's see if there's anything else you want to know here. Container chemical. Oh, this is kind of useful. I thought this was an interesting graphic, and they do show this in the video as well. But again, this article with all the text and pictures goes far more into it than the video did. So as you can see, you're going to have these electrons running around when you attach the wires, and they call this a load. The light would be the load. When the switch is closed, the circuit is complete, and electrons can flow from the anode to the cathode. These electrons enable the chemical reactions. That's spelled wrong. At the anode and cathode. All right, let's see if there's any other. Yeah, these oxidate. That's not good. Cathode reduction, electron flow. Oh, this is kind of an interesting picture, as I recall. Yeah, creating a short circuit in a battery, even accidental ones in this case, can be dangerous. They have lithium-ion batteries have known to overheat and even smoke or catch fire in the presence of a short circuit.
And you've seen pictures of EV cars going up like torches, yeah.
Batteries, terminal cell. Oh, and they've torn apart one. And it actually looks like there's little cells in there with these different layers. Mm-hmm. And that's a common 9-volt battery. You might even have one in your house. These are going to be 1.5 volt each, stacked on top of each other to get to 9. Yep. Primary, secondary.
Well, 1.5 volts is kind of like the standard cell.
Yeah, I mean, we even saw it when you were putting together your cup with the soda and the two different metals, and they were generating half to 1 to 1.5.
Right, and that's
depending on the mixtures,
because they're very inefficient. But you get to an efficient, like most common batteries are single cells, except for the 9-volt, which has 6 cells in it. But most batteries are single cells, which gives them 1.5 volts. And just the bigger the battery, the bigger the cell, so the longer it lasts. The more electrons, it can give from one side to the other.
And they talk about rating, how they're rated. I just like this. There's lots of good stuff in here. And there's our lemon. A little bit of copper.
A nail.
A nail. And it actually, well, we'll read it. How to make a lemon battery. Use the wire stripper to remove about 2.5 inches of plastic insulation off the copper wire and cut the stripped wire off. Roll the lemon gently. This is important so the liquid gets moving. Roll the lemon gently on the table to loosen the juice inside. Carefully stick the copper wire about 1 inch into the lemon. I don't know why they coiled it. Maybe to make it easier to crank into the lemon?
Yeah, because copper is kind of soft. So.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you'd do better just having straight. Oh, maybe it's so that you can get a lot of the wire in without risking it touching the nail.
Could be.
Yeah.
We got a comment.
Oh. Old laptops chucked in the bin and garbage trucks catching fire. Yep.
Oh, I hadn't heard about that.
Oh, I have. Because, of course, they crunch it down.
Oh.
A lot of the garbage trucks. And if you break that battery, yeah.
So this was an interesting part. Number 4 here. Moisten your tongue with saliva and touch the wire with it. Do you notice anything? And I think that's when they made it when it's in the lemon. Mm-hmm. Stick the nail in the lemon. I thought they said a particular kind of nail. I think it's a galvanized nail. Mm-hmm. Stick the nail in the lemon about 0.25 inches, away from the copper wire. Make sure they do not touch. The wire and the nail need to be close to each other because they will be swapping matter in the chemical reaction. This time, touch to both of these and see what you notice. So a little experiment in there. And I thought this was kind of neat for kids on how to make a lemon battery. I'm going to get rid of the ads. Avada Kedavra. And it's much easier to read. So again, it's the same sort of thing, but they do make it really, really safe for kids. How to make the lemon battery. See them all rolling them. So yeah, really good stuff here. Great insight to complexity of the battery by breaking it down in simple terms. Provides an awesome hands-on visual. Lemon battery the kids can make. Let's see. I think we know. Is there anything else in here? Oh, they just show them connected in series. You see how you've got the nail. Wait, going to the nail? That doesn't make sense.
No, they've got the picture wrong. That one's correct.
In this case, they're using pennies. So a copper-clad penny, you connect your wire to the nail, penny to the nail, penny to the nail, all the way around. All right, so let's see. 4 lemons, galvanized nails. There it is, galvanized nails. 4 pieces of copper. You can even use a copper penny. Alligator clips with wires. Oh, it's a little better. A little picture of it. And they have a copper strip. And maybe it's a good science fair project. Uh-huh. All right, roll and squeeze the lemon. Galvanized zinc nail. Here, yeah, that's the zinc nail we were talking about. So this one did point out what it is. Connect the ends of one wire to a galvanized nail on one lemon and then the piece of copper in the other one. So each one of them is going to be connected that way. And then attach it to the light. All right, another comment? Make that acid battery. Yes, you can.
Yep.
All right. So, yeah, fun with fruit. Once the light turns on, your littles realize it's being powered by the lemon battery they created. Have your camera ready because the smile on their faces will be priceless. I love this. You have another?
Yeah.
Just be careful. Yes, absolutely. And, yeah.
Well, the lead acid battery is actually kind of safe, aside from the acid, although it's not a really strong acid.
The hydrogen you have to worry about.
Yeah, that it gives off. But until you charge it, it's just basically some chemicals. So if you charge it, yeah, then you've got to be a little bit careful.
And welcome. This is the first time we've seen this person, right?
Yep.
I do like that they have other links and probably, to their same site. So this is going to be safe for kids. How to make a potato battery in 8 simple steps. It's very, very similar.
That's what we did as a kid.
You did a potato battery? Okay.
Yeah. Now what they show in the image does not work.
Right.
Yeah, that doesn't
No,
work.
That's a funny picture. Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We appreciate that. Yeah, it's basically the same thing. It's just a different. The potato offers a different, so it's more of a salty solution than the acid solution.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I just did a search. You can find Avada Kedavra. Let's get rid of those ads. You can just find these with a search. If you want the link, I can certainly share it with you. No problem. But yeah, let's see what was fun in here that we want to share with you. Oh, this is the weird one with all these. I don't know what this is. Some ad got blown up, I think.
Yep.
And didn't get cleaned out. So let's see what we got after this.
Yeah, there you go.
2 potatoes, a knife. This is interesting because you want to cut into it so you can get the components of the wires, or pennies, galvanized nails. Oh, and they say a multimeter. Now, this is the one thing you might not have at home, but if you have an LED or a light bulb, you can understand what's happening because you can see the light up.
Right, yeah.
So there's lots of ways to do the same sort of thing. A multimeter is a nice thing to use to measure.
Mm-hmm.
To measure. Cut a penny size hole.
Or if you've got a dead computer somewhere, pull the fan out of it.
Oh yeah.
Because a little bit of voltage will make it spin a little bit.
How much voltage do those take?
A lot of them are 12 volt or 5 volt. Oh. But if they don't have any electronics in them, some of them are switching fans that'll go different speeds. But if it's a straight just on-off fan, then there's nothing in there to keep it from not working if it's only got a little bit of juice to it.
Okay.
So if it's just a typical one, then if it's 2-wire, then there's no electronics in it. It's just go or no go. And
yeah. Now this is interesting because they say to pierce the potato, they have you add these 2 different metals on opposite sides, and I'm thinking, oh, well, you're not even going to have that sort of tingle on your tongue, right. I think, because this is based on salt instead of acid, right? What do you think? No,
it's the electricity that makes it tingle.
Okay, all right. I think we got another comment, right?
Yeah, I like to play with micro transformer arcs.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be careful.
Yeah, those are pretty strong transformers.
Yeah, and then there's the magnetron in there, so yeah. Be careful. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, so it's very, very similar concept. And again, you can put them side by side to form, put them in series. And if you use a multimeter, you can actually measure the voltage. Oh, more potatoes equals more power. Yep. If you want to power something larger, repeat the steps above to create a longer circuit and give your objects some more juice. And they have some interesting experiments you can do, like, can you soak it in salt water beforehand? Let's see, what do they say? I remember that one, but what are the other ones? Try boiling or cooking the potato first. See if this increases the output or the voltage. Try and experiment with a lemon, orange, or pickle. Pickles glow. Soak your potato in salt water before setting it up. Determine how much energy comes from each potato battery and additional potatoes. One, measure your increase in your voltage by attaching them to, okay, good. Determine if a cleaner penny will do better.
Yep. And
they say why it works. And we've talked about this. We've seen the pictures. Good stuff. Teach engineering. I love it. All right, and these guys, and I'm going to show you this because I didn't know this. You can actually refurbish a battery. And in this case, they talk about, and this guy, I think he's got, he's probably from a different country. English is a second language. So it's a little bit hard to understand him. I got another one's kind of similar, but I think it's a little easier to understand. It's very environmentally beneficial as it takes a dead battery and turns them into a new one, preventing the creation of electronic waste. All right, so what are we talking about here? He's saying you can take an old discarded AA battery and pull out this carbon rod. Okay, so the carbon rod and a little bit of aluminum, see this aluminum foil with a salt solution, can help you make your battery. We got another comment, didn't we?
And later you can make chips.
Okay. All right, so you roll up your aluminum about the same size as your carbon rod. And this is weird because carbon's not a metal, right? Okay, but I mean, the same principle is going to be in effect, right?
Conductive.
Okay, it's conductive. Okay, that's good. To make the end node, we need aluminum foil to be folded into the same size. And I don't know why they say hot dog style. I don't get that. But you roll it up. And as we can see in the picture, it's about the same size. And you add them into your salt solution.
Because they didn't want to say joint.
Okay. Carbon rod is positive. The foil is negative. Add your salt to the water. Boom, you have a battery. Check it out. It's not very strong, but you can generate more if you have more batteries. But still, the idea here was to save an old battery.
And you're not really saving the battery, you're just recovering a piece of the battery.
Yeah,
you're recovering the carbon rod out of it.
Yeah. And this is similar. You can see the aluminum and the carbon rod, and they just use some different components. It's got a little different style. I thought it was interesting, and they're both on this instructables.com site.
Yep. And yeah, Dawn says salt and vinegar chips. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Got it. Very good.
And you know, you can make batteries out of a lot of things, but do not make them out of crackers. It's illegal to make them out of crackers. You know, a saltine battery.
Yeah. All right. Again, they have nice pictures. That's the nice thing about Instructables. They give you lots of pictures. And I think this one is even a little bit better because it walks you through this, pulling that carbon rod from the AA battery. And I think it is the AA, not the other kinds.
Oh, and they say never take apart one that says alkaline. Yeah.
Non-alkaline, okay. They don't say why though.
Chemical burns.
Oh, okay. But you notice this person is using gloves.
Yeah.
So safety first. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move on because you can go to Instructables. You can put in, make your own batteries and find all this stuff. Build a battery out of pennies. Okay, so this is kind of a common thing. And in this case, they want you to take batteries that are from 1982.
Oh, pennies?
Pennies, sorry. Pennies, yes. Let's look at it. Oh, let's get rid of the ads. Avada Kedavra. Okay. The idea in this case is to have the pennies, I said it right this time, the pennies that have the zinc inside, because you're going to be...
So you want modern pennies, not...
Modern pennies, yeah.
Pennies.
Not old pennies that are strictly copper.
Yeah.
And I actually like the next one I'm going to show you a little better because it's not just the pennies and you don't have to play with it. The hardest part of this is going to be to take your sandpaper and braid the one side.
Oh, so
to get to the zinc.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah.
Right. 5 to 7 pennies, paper towels, lemon juice, salt or vinegar, where it's 2. Not chips though. Sandpaper, tape, and LED. You need to sand down the pennies to get to the zinc. And this is where they say 1982 and after. Then you put together the sandwich. It's almost the same exact thing that Volta did with
his voltaic pile.
Yeah, his voltaic pile. But you're using modern day pennies. And if you don't want to sand down your pennies, go ahead, Avada Kedavra, and look at this article. And it talks about stacking up coins instead. In fact, they're using pennies and nickels, 2 different metals, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's see. Pennies, nickels, paper towels, or coffee filters.
And they want specifically copper pennies for this one.
That makes sense. Although the copper clad ones, I guess it's just going to have
metal, yeah.
less copper.
Yeah.
That's all. So same kind of thing. I like how they make the little squares of the towels. Yeah, go ahead.
Carbon from magnesium dioxide and a zinc outer casing. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So there's a nice picture of the stack. Yep. Now they look a little bit soggy to me. I don't know that you want them this wet. But
well,
same
you don't
idea.
want them dripping from one to the other. I think that's the main thing.
Oh, it'll short basically between rod. He says rod.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So if they kind of fit and they're not too wet, you won't get them passing between each other. Yeah.
Yep.
I like that picture though. All right. Yep. Same kind of idea. Stack it test it. With this one, they're getting 0.78. And maybe you have to switch the leads on the multimeter. Yep, nickels are made of zinc and pennies are made of copper. Both conductors of electricity. I didn't know nickels were made of zinc. There used to be nickel, right?
Yeah.
When the two different metals are connected by an electrolyte, which is the vinegar and salt solution, a chemical reaction called oxidation occurs. All right, what else do we have here? I think we kind of get the idea. Oh, but this was kind of a cool image. Let's see if I can get it. Avada Kedavra with, yeah, here we go. How lithium-ion batteries work. So that's a pretty neat image. I thought that the graphic there. That's why I like that. That's why I wanted to show you. And again, it's going to be a lot of the same kind of stuff. You talked about this. Gasoline, oxygen, store chemical, potential energy too.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, most fuels are actually batteries.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's why I kind of am like not thrilled with the whole antimatter power generation, because antimatter is simply a battery that explodes if you mess with it too much. I mean, because you have to use a lot of energy to make the antimatter. You know, and then you have then you have to store it in something that doesn't let it touch regular matter. So,
which is what?
Yeah, which is a magnetic bottle usually.
Right, right. They did mention the rechargeable, and I think I might have an image of that. It's just basically, you know how we had that flow? We would just reverse that flow, and it would set them up to be able to go in that flow again.
Right, because
I think
the anode, one of the two, anode or cathode, one of them gives up stuff that the other one takes through the solution. And if you reverse it, they, you know, you force the one that's been taking stuff to give it back.
Yeah. They actually, go ahead. Yeah, finish it.
And that's what happens in a lithium-ion battery, except that the trouble is that things don't deposit uniformly, redeposit uniformly. And that's why you can get spikes that reach out, because once you've got a spike going, it's closer to the other one, so it's more likely for stuff to deposit there. So it'll build up, and and once it makes contact, you know, then it's done. One of the things for like a laptop battery or any lithium-ion battery, if it's dead, don't do this if it's just weak. If it's dead, you can take it out of the laptop, smack it against concrete a few times, fairly vigorously, because you can sometimes break those crystals off and stop that process and regain some of the life of the battery. Now, you're also likely to just destroy the battery doing that. But if it's dead anyway, why not? And if it starts feeling hot when you do that, leave. Because it's gonna.
Do you need to call the bomb disposal unit then?
Oh no, okay. It'll just be hot for a while, and if it catches on fire, then it's just hot faster.
Okay. All right, and this actually shows the charge and discharge.
Yep.
How the lithium-ion battery works.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think there's a video too, and I'm going to jump ahead just a little bit because this one picture, it shows, and I didn't like the terminology they're using, but it makes sense, and it describes it, so yay, if that works for you. The anode is the charge giver, and the cathode is the charge taker, just like what you were saying. But yeah, these videos are really good. I just didn't like their terminology there. So let me go back here. Yeah, I think I'm going to see what else is. This is a really good article. I think it's very good. It's just a little bit long, and we've talked about an awful lot of this already. And this is explainthatstuff.com, which sounds like a great site all in itself. So maybe we'll look at that some more later. All right, this is a good one too. Yeah, I didn't really look at this one a lot because I've been seeing all these. Yeah, plastic cup.
Basically the same thing.
Yeah, the plastic cup, and it doesn't have to be plastic, just doesn't conduct like the metal does. Yeah. Salt, aluminum.
So a glass cup would work too.
Glass, plastic, so styrofoam, paper.
But plastic is more child friendly, and you don't see a lot of styrofoam cups anymore.
Oh, okay. how to prepare the voltmeter, fill a cup of water, add some salt. Cool stuff. Copper strip, zinc strip. Yeah, good stuff. All right, again, that was a video that learned how to make a homemade battery, pre-college programs. Especially for pre-college programs, I thought that was kind of like weird terminology. If you're gonna teach someone, I think it's best to teach them the actual terms that everybody's using.
But this is a good way of looking at it as this is what it does, because anode gives the charge. What about anode? Unless you know Latin, what tells you that it's giving the charge?
I just used a cat for positive. I came up with that today.
Or it catches
yesterday.
Or catches the charge. That's how I learned it.
Oh, that's a good way to do it. Yeah.
I learned it with it catches the charge.
Okay. All right. So yeah, good videos here. They're just long. I'm not going to go through them, but you can look them up. This was pretty let's see, 7 easy steps. Oh, this was this is very, very in the lab. Oh, and this is a good. I'll run this a little bit.
To control the electrons, charged particles shuffle from one electrode to another through a liquid electrolyte.
See, isn't that cool looking? I like this.
The first step in making battery electrodes is mixing a batter-like slurry.
So I'm going to give you that link. That's a cool video. All right, let's grab that real quick. And then I will come back and do the next one. I encourage you to watch these videos, look at these articles, because there's some really interesting stuff involving batteries. And of course, it's always evolving. There's new stuff all the time. And if you would like a version in basically British, this guy has a pretty good video of, and he uses these little zinc and copper. And this is the one he talks about. These
are washers, yeah.
Yeah, washers. And this is the one he talks about. Not letting them. Let's see if I can find it real quick. And that's a cool container for the battery too. There's what?
Yeah. If you don't want to end up on every single watch list there is, because that looks like a pipe bomb.
Yes, that's true. So here he is, sort of blotting it on.
Off the excess. You want the paper washers to be damp but not dripping wet. As you can now see, that just one of our cells produces 0.7 volts. Now on.
Pretty good, huh? And there's that accent. All right, I just have a couple more here. Let's see. Yeah, this guy, and Cliff, this was for you, Mechanic Gone Rogue guy. This is an excellent video. He makes an aluminum air battery, and this is so cool just watching him do this.
This brain power method activates your genius ability to attract wealth.
Let's go ahead and kill that volume. But he really just creates this in front of you. Tells you what you can use from home, playing cards, aluminum foil, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's a cool video. I'll give you the link to that one too. I really enjoyed this. And I thought of Cliff because of this Mechanic had gone rogue. And he talks about that too. He's like, yeah, I'm a mechanic, but I just like to play with stuff. So that was pretty fun. And then this one, this one's dirt. They put dirt in this ice cube tray. Look at this. It's just one cell to another. It's like if you have 14 of these, it's a 14 cell battery.
Yeah, it's
really cool. You can use dirt.
And the nice thing is it's already grounded.
Oh God, look at that, 4.82. You got any dirt around? You need some power? There you go. Just a little tray, couple of nuts and copper. Oh, this is good stuff. Yeah, I'll give you that one too.
You get enough of those and you can actually charge your cell phone.
Yeah. Oh, there's one in here. It's like, whoa, now that is a battery. I think that one's the next one. That might be, nope, it's soda can project. That's pretty cool too. What does he do?
Yeah, that's basically a video version of stuff that we've seen before.
I think he's filling it with dirt too, though.
Oh.
Yeah. He's put the coil inside. Oh, and he does something interesting too. He goes, well, this was the straight one. And this was the coiled one. Which one has more power? And he goes into like how you can, think about doing that. He pours salt water into the dirt. And it's insulated. The inside can and the bottom is got some cardboard in it. So these two don't touch. Mm-hmm. And the dirt keeps the copper that's poking out from touching the sides.
And it keeps the salt water from sloshing too much.
Oh, yeah. And he takes the meter and he shows you how much which one has, the coiled one versus the straight one. And then he creates this whole big, it's a battery. It's all these different ones glued down, and they basically go from one to the other. Make sure they're not shorting out. And that's the wire touching the can. Yep. See? Can copper, can copper, can copper. Yeah, we got a comment. Yes.
But
I agree with you there.
But Cliff, they're earthed.
All right. Oh, and he shows you lighting up his little LED. But that would be hard to carry around. This one, oh my God, this is so cool. I can't even believe how cool this is. But it's a little long, 10 minutes and 45 seconds. How to make advanced aluminum air battery more powerful and has higher energy density. Check this out.
Use copper oxide.
I'm gonna just run you through some of this. He takes, it's very, very, I would say a little bit sophisticated in this case for doing it home, but I think it's absolutely doable. And if you really need something that's going to be powerful, check that out. I'll give you the link to this one. He tells you exactly what this stuff is. A lot of times it's also in the comments. And let's see, in this case, I think he talked about it, but yeah, I want you to go find it. All right, let's see him roll it up. This is pretty cool too. He's got paper towels.
And this shows you essentially how they do a typical D-cell battery. This is essentially what that is.
Yeah, I think he's very clear. I think it's very easy to understand what he's doing here. And I think it would be very easy to duplicate it. So he's rolling it up. This is a very cool video.
And he's rolling it tightly too.
Yeah, very tightly. Some of these they were saying keep it loose, which I was surprised he was doing it so tight. And I'm like, wait, don't you want it loose? And see the two different metals poking up there?
Yeah, and that's because the copper oxide is actually the electrolyte. So the paper is not the electrolyte. The paper is just to keep the two opposite sides of the battery from touching each other when you...
Yeah, but he's going to put an electrolyte in here too.
Yeah.
He actually pours in, let's see, what is it called?
Now, one more thing I need is to add electrolyte. After adding electrolyte, battery will work. If you don't want to use your battery, don't add electrolyte. But whenever you want to use your battery, you can.
Which I thought was a good point because you could prepare this and then keep it on hand. And when you're ready, add your electrolyte to it for instant power. And this one's very powerful. He shows you with the fan, and it is very interesting.
Just add the electrolyte. As an electrolyte, I'm going to use 0.5 molar sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide will work.
I don't know how easy it is to get sodium hydroxide. Do you know what that is? I don't know what that is.
No, I don't. But
so I don't know that it's something that would be commonly, like something like hydrogen peroxide you can find in your bathroom. Most people have that in their bathroom. Or adding salt to water, I think this is a little bit more of a chemical that you might have to go and find somewhere in particular. But again, if you want something that's very, very powerful and pretty easy to set up and then finish when you need it, and he said this runs for hours. Yeah, we got a comment.
Oh, it's lye.
Lye. So but I thought lye was
powder. I guess he's dissolving it in water.
Water. Okay. Oh, got another one. It is very basic. Okay.
It's a base.
Oh, I see. Quit taking lessons from Jeff, please. What do you see?
Yeah.
And can burn. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Any strong base or acid can burn. But yeah, he just adds it in.
As an electrolyte, I'm just going to add some sodium hydroxide.
Yeah, and he just, and I'm like, why didn't you fill the thing first? But I don't know. I don't know if there's a reason to do it this way or.
Well, and
carefully.
Basically, because he's soaking it. If he just puts it in, he might splash it out before it can soak.
No, I mean put it into the container.
Right, but it might splash out.
Oh, I see.
When you put the thing in, He's
Okay.
making sure that he soaks the cloth.
Okay. All right. Good. Let's see if we can advance a little bit here.
Our battery is ready now. We will.
So he's put this in there. He
test the
soaked it.
voltage, measure the voltage and the current of our battery. I have my multimeter here. Set it to.
He does both volts and amps, so that's kind of interesting. And it's
Okay, my friends, as you see, we have 1.5, 1.2 volt. After some time, it will increase a little bit more. Okay, my
so what he's saying here is that as it soaks in, and you'll see now he does get more voltage out of it.
friends, after waiting about 10 minutes now, let's measure the voltage again. As you see, at this time we have 2.15, 2.20 volts inside our battery. It's pretty good now. Let's measure the current of our.
So he's going to check the current. But what I want to show you, look at that. He's got the
Okay, my
span
friends,
going.
Can you see the power of the battery? It's pretty powerful. Can you see the power of it? It's pretty powerful.
And he claims it can go for, what do you say, 2 or 3 hours?
My battery, as you see, there is nothing else, no hidden battery. I will just use my homemade battery.
And he's got a motor
Okay,
to
my
it now.
friends.
That's just a little cheap motor that you
Yep.
put a popsicle stick on so that you could see it go.
Yep.
Can you see the power of it? It's a very powerful, very nice aluminum air battery. Okay, my friends, you can use this battery for about 2 or 3 hours. It will be a very
I think that's pretty good for something you can
You
set
punch
up.
together, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's not exactly, but if you set it up and it's ready for you and you add your, what is it called again?
Sodium hydroxide.
Sodium hydroxide. You could have a pretty decent battery.
Yep.
For a little bit of effort. All right, I have one more thing here. I just love these WikiHows. It does, I think it's got about 4 different ways. Yeah, 4 different ways to make a battery. And they talk about some of the same things we've seen. The soda. Let's see, is there a new one in here? Let's get rid of these. Add 2. Avada Kedavra. All right. So there's the soda one. And I think this is the first place I saw the water. And it's just water. And I'm like, well, how does that work? Well, it's tap water, which has a certain amount of impurities in it. This one's with salt and water. And I think the water one has the ice cube tray again. There it is, ice cube tray, copper wire, metal screws. I love this. They have very, step by step how to put together. There you go. There's your couple of lines of copper around your nails. And then you add them in. Now you got to be careful of directions. See how they're all going in one way? And then, so up one way and side and then back down the other way. That keeps them in series. And I think the other thing too is you don't want any of your water to bridge between these two.
Right. And you don't want the water to be up to the copper on the screw. It needs to be below that.
That makes sense. All right. So separate. And then you have leads off of there so you can get your power. Add your water. It's really just water. I was like, oh my God, this is water. How does that happen? Well, it's the combination of things, and the water is in fact from the tap, which is going to have some impurities in it, and that's how it gets that flowing. The electrons flow.
Yeah. And the electrons flow like water, which means that cold can affect them. Because if you stick that in the freezer, all of the electrons freeze.
Okay.
It doesn't make electricity.
And of course, you can experiment with salt or bleach or vinegar or citrus. See what happens. This one is with just copper plate, aluminum plate. And what do they do? Forget. I don't know. Let's see. They put them on a piece of wood. Oh, it's using your hands. Okay. So you, in fact, become the electrolyte. And it sounds like you've got a little bit of energy in you. Of course you do.
Well, no, you just allow the electricity to flow through you.
Right. When you place your hands on the metal plates, the sweat on your hands should react with the metal plates to produce a reading on the voltage meter. Oh, and if it doesn't, then reverse the connections. Maybe it's because you got positive and negative. They need to be in the right place. All right, so that's what I have
Or it's really cold.
That's what I have for our websites tonight. I think I got. Let me check one thing quick. I want to make sure you have that one video. What's at the end there? KG88. Is that in there? KG88. Nope, I don't think you have that one. Let me grab it. Right? That's the last. Well, all right. If you have, if it's in there, yeah, I don't think it is. If it's in there, you got it twice. That's that most recent video where he rolled up the different components, and it's a pretty strong battery. So there. Oh, 1.5 volts. You got a comment from Cliff. There it is.
No.
Yep, there it is.
Human body can produce 1.5 volts.
I don't get the Matrix reference, but okay.
Yeah. Well, Matrix.
The movie, right?
Yeah. They basically hooked up people as a power source.
Oh, so you became the battery. You were the batteries.
The trouble is that that's a very inefficient power source because, for one thing, where do you get the food? Where do you get the power to make the food to feed to the people?
Right. Well, it's a store of energy. Just like the
until
batteries.
People starve. So that's a.
Well, I can feed them intravenous.
With what?
Yeah.
You need power.
Your little pod comes. It's all magic. It's all.
Yeah.
Hand wavy them.
If they have the magic power to feed the people, they don't need the people.
Yeah, made for a good movie. All right, you want to do that?
It made for a movie that was good until then.
Oh, I see.
So some stellar events this week, September 13th through September 20th. September 14th, Pluto and the Moon are in conjunction. September 17th is pretty busy. It's a full harvest moon, and they call it a super moon because it's just closer to us than it normally is. But it's not like you'll be able to see the difference. And Saturn and the Moon are in conjunction. Saturn is 0.3 degrees south of the Moon, and occultation is visible from Western North America. Also, Venus is 2.2 degrees north of Spica, and it's the beginning of an eclipse. And this is oops. Yeah.
It's people.
Yeah. You control population and feed them.
Not a good plan, though. Well, go ahead and talk about the eclipse.
It works because eventually the population gets low enough that you don't need the Soylent Green.
I see.
So from the Old Farmer's Almanac, it says that September 17th and 18th, the night of September 17th, 18th, is a partial eclipse of the moon, visible from most of North America. This is primarily a penumbral eclipse. On September 17th, the moon will enter the penumbra at 8:39 Eastern Time, which is 5:39 Pacific Time, and the umbra, and it'll enter the umbra at 10:12 Eastern Time, which is 7:12 Pacific Time. It will leave the umbra at 11:17 Eastern, which is 8:17 Pacific Time. So it'll be in the umbra for about an hour. And it'll finally leave the penumbra at 12:49 a.m. on the 18th or 9:49 Pacific Time on the 17th. So
depends on where you are in the United States.
In the
North America.
In the East Coast, it'll leave the penumbra after midnight. Everywhere else, it'll leave the penumbra before midnight. Yeah.
So you got an hour of the darkest part,
but still, it's a graze. I don't think it's going all the way through.
I don't know. I'd have to go look up an image of it.
Yeah.
I was a little busy with the batteries.
Yeah. September 18th, the moon is on the equator. It's at ascending node and at perigee.
Oh, we missed a comment from Cliff.
Oh. Yeah.
Cycling.
Yep.
You read that one, right?
And Neptune, also on this 18th, Neptune and the moon are in conjunction. Neptune is 0.7 degrees south of the moon. Oh, that sounds very familiar. Occultation is visible from most of North America. September 20th, Neptune is at opposition. Also on September 20th, Friday night show, and it's another crunchy topic. Find us Fridays at 9 p.m. Pacific time on the Everyday Spacer Facebook page and the Everyday Spacer YouTube channel.
What inspires you the most for the coming week? But I want to make a comment about Neptune. You know, we're saying, oh, it's hard to see them, but I've seen some amazing pictures on Facebook of these faraway planets. And I'm thinking that the equipment and the skill sets are getting better and better. So we're catching images of things like, well, Saturn was on there the other day, and I thought that was fantastic. And I think it was an amateur astronomer's photograph. So yeah, I think when we talk about those, let's not get too crazy about their, well, they're not visible, because if you have the right equipment, you can catch images of these, and they're quite good. I've seen. Anyway, so if you or someone you know has done something interesting involving space exploration, science, astronomy, we'd love to share our live. Join us again next Friday, September the 20th, for a crunchy topic on artificial intelligence. Jeff is going to take point on that one. And I've been in talks with someone who may be a guest soon. This person, well, I don't know who from the team, posted to the Redshift Wrangler Project Facebook page our video of their project. And I left a comment. And then I was like, oh, how about if somebody wants to be a guest? And she wrote to me. So we're emailing back and forth. We're going to find a date. And if and when that happens, we'll let you know.
Mm-hmm. And if it absolutely has to be next week, then I'll do AI the week after.
Yeah, I usually don't give them, like if I tell you tonight that it's artificial intelligence next week, we do that and they pick up the next one. Because I've got a bunch of them lined up, but you only know about the next one usually. So 2 weeks, and 2 weeks is good for a guest. 2-3 weeks. We don't want it too far away. And unless they're really, really skilled, 1 week or less is okay. But I usually don't like to do that to our guest.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, all right. Let's do a call. Shout out. Cliff was here, and Scott was here, and
Don was here.
Don was here, and Janie was here, and we had someone new.
And his handle is Kill. So
Killer. I see Killer too. I hope that's not true. Did we get everybody?
I think so.
I think we got everybody. Thank you so much, folks. You always make it a better show. We really enjoy your comments, the banter, Janie, and looking up stuff for us. That is terrific. We got another one. Oh,
yeah.
There it is.
Oh, here.
Okay.
Here,
was that
show it?
Okay.
Maybe.
All right. I thought maybe you saw it. Yeah. Well, you got some. You got a like less. It wasn't raining, right?
Okay. I'm gonna be careful about that one, Cliff.
Is he punking you? I don't know.
I'm just gonna be careful. I'll take that one as at face value, Cliff.
Okay. Anything else from you?
Nope.
We will continue to watch for your comments. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great week, folks.
Good night.
See you next Friday. Bye.
Bye.